This lecture you will learn how to integrate your Selenium tests with TeamCity, that is continuous integration server. So TeamCity is very popular continuous integration server which I have already installed on my system, and you can also go ahead and install the TeamCity from the JetBrains website. So JetBrains is the company which has developed this TeamCity server. So you can go ahead and download that server. It is free of cost for the community edition, and once you install that, you can access that using the URL like this one. I have changed the port to double it, but by default it may be a different port. So once you open this particular interface, that actually server runs on the specific port, just like an HTTP server, and I have already installed that, and I can access that particular server by going to this particular URL. And you may want to also install the build agent, but the TeamCity server acts as the build agent as well, so you do not need to install the build agent separately if you are working on your own machine. But in an organization, what happens is there is a a separate machine for the CI server, and there are build agents, say 4 or 5 build agents are there. So whenever the server gets the build request, the TeamCity server will select one of the build agents, idle build agents, and then ask that build agent to execute the Selenium tests, and then results are pushed back to the server. So in this particular lecture, you will learn how to set up the project in TeamCity. I'm not going to cover how to install the TeamCity and all that stuff. I'm assuming that you have got access to the TeamCity server web interface, and from there on, how you can set up the Selenium build that I'm going to cover. So for that, you need to have the admin access on your TeamCity server, or the special permissions to set up the build, because not all users can set up the build in TeamCity. So assuming that you have got those permissions, go ahead and start the TeamCity server. So here you can see that TeamCity is being initializing, and till then let us wait. So meanwhile, I'll explain you how you can clone the repository. So in the last lecture, we have seen how to push the project into GitHub. This is Selenium project, and to clone or download this project, you can click on this button, and you can clone it using HTTPS or the SSH. There are two protocols. In HTTPS, you will have to enter the username and password, but in SSH, once you set up the keys, you don't need to use the password, enter the password while accessing this repository. So you can use any of these methods. So what happens is, when you create a build in project in a TeamCity server, it accesses the repository from this URL. They executes the tasks like, since this project is built on the Maven build management system, we will be using Maven task in our TeamCity server to execute the tests from the project after repository is downloaded. As you can see, this uh, TeamCity server is up and running, and then to create the project, you have to click on this small icon over there. Then you can go to administration. You can see that there is one build agent over there up and running. And on this screen in administration projects, you can create a project or create a project from the URL. So this is very easy way to create the project from the URL. All you have to do is just to give the git URL, and then it will create the project out of that. So I'm gonna explain you the simplest way to create the project. Then over there, you can parent project, you can keep it as a root project repository URL. Now here you have to give the repository URL. So you can use this HTTPS if you want. Then click on proceed. You have to give the username and password for the GitHub account. Then it will check the credentials, then and download that repository on your TeamCity server. Here it is accepting the Selenium project. Then build configuration name, you can put here Maven build suppose 1, Selenium project 1, and this is the git repository URL. Then click on proceed. So it's really simple interface to create the project from the TeamCity. I just love the TeamCity because I have also worked with the Bamboo, but I find this TeamCity really user friendly. So it automatically scans the repository files and then finds out the build steps as well. Since our project is Maven, TeamCity is intelligent enough to know that this project is Maven, and then it will add the Maven step for this project. So this is now in the build configuration settings step, where we can have these many configuration like general settings. We can do version control settings, where we specify the git repository or the any version control repository URL, which we have already given, and right now it is detecting the build steps. So it automatically finds out which build steps are suitable for your project, and most probably it is gonna select Maven test. As you can see, it is found this build step as Maven, and then you can click on use selected to use that particular step. So you don't need to do anything, it is all doing automatically. And number of build configuration can only reach maximum 20. All right, so this is trial version, so I cannot use build configurations more than 20. That is the limitation. So anyways, we can now go ahead and execute this particular build configuration. So here you can notice that there is one build step Maven, and then goal is clean test. So this is the Maven goal, which we have already seen, like there are different Maven goals. So to execute the Selenium tests, you need to use this particular goal clean test, or if you want to execute test from specific class, as we have already seen in previous lectures, you can use the D test parameter and then give the class name. All right, the build step is also given, and you can run the build by clicking on this button. So now what will happen is this TeamCity will go ahead and then execute the particular tests on the server. And you need to ensure that on the build agent you have got the all the Selenium web driver setup. For example, you should have this Maven installer, then you should have JDK install on your build agent. So all the necessary things like Selenium WebDriver exe, all those files should be available on your build agent, and they should match your project settings, configuration settings. So if all is fine, what will happen is it will go ahead and then start building the project. In the build log, you can view what all tasks it is executing. So as you can see, it is collecting the changes in the VCS root. So it is downloading that repository, and now it is executing the step 1. So as you can see, we had configure one step, that is Maven step, and it is running that Maven step now. Here it is also showing the path of the agent. Now it is starting scanning the project, so it is actually executing the Maven goal, that is test, clean test. It is downloading those Maven plugins and all that stuff that it requires to build the Maven. It's installing the chain dependencies and all that stuff. So what happens is that it downloads everything and then start the execution. So only important thing that you need to remember while integrating with the TeamCity server is that the paths of the that you use in your project should match the build agent path. So for example, if you are using say a WebDriver exe, then that path should be relative path. With respect to your project, because if the paths are different, then it will not find those required files, and then build will fail. So this will happen for the first time because these files are not there on the build agent. So it is going and then downloading all those files or the jar library dependency libraries in the memory repository, and then it will start the execution after that. So it is started executing this clean goal, and after the clean goal it will execute the resources goal. After the resources goal, it is gonna execute the compile goal, and then finally it will execute the test goal. So you can see that compiler plugin is executing the compile goal, and it is compiling one source file. Then it is executing test compile goal. So to compile the test resources or the test files, and after this it will execute the test goal. As you can see, the test goal is started, and For a test goal, it requires Surefire plugin, so it is going and downloading that Surefire plugin. So all this download thing will happen only once in the beginning of your project, because in the initially it needs those particular files. So but once it is downloaded, it will not next time go ahead and download those files. So you can see that now tests are executing, and there is one error. It is showing that driver executable does not exist. So as I said, you should ensure that your paths are correct. So it is executing the next test in that. So you can write, you can configure the build in such a way that build should stop if the when one test fails, but this build is configured in such a way that it is gonna. So as you can see, the execution is happening and it is just running those tests. So on the main project window, you will see these details of that particular build, how many tests failed, how many passed, and you can also stop the build if you want. You can look at the change logs from here. You can look at the statistics, problems, investigations over there. You can edit the project settings from here. So that is how you can TeamCity. Thanks for watching this video.